Hey everybody, Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply once again. This is going to be a shaky cam informal update 120. I don't have a whole, I always say it, but I don't have a whole lot done here, but I do have another idea for another change. So stay tuned and we'll take a look. Okay, first of all, you see this nasty corner down here and you see that foam all on the ground? Well, I had a train derail up there. One train made it through. That train there seemed to make it through every time, no problem. But that train over there, no way, no por nada, never made it through. That train derailed under there. 2 times I tried to run it through. I had some cars fall on the floor. The 2 victims were the Texaco tanker there and that boxcar. I lost a truck off that boxcar. I don't know where it went, but I'll just put a new truck on. The tank car has a smashed coupler on the far end, and I'll just put a new truck on the tank car. So, no major damages. One of those GP20s fell to the floor with no damage. Fell onto the rubber, actually. There's a lot to be said for rubber floors, guys. But anyway, to get to the point, let's go down under here. You can see there on the floor that I have a Harbor Freight, I think it's a Harbor Freight, little mirror. I got up in there with the shop light and I started looking at that track on the outside right there with the mirror to find out that there was a spot where when I connected it down here, it disconnected over there, and there was about a an 1/8 of an inch or more gap in the track there, where it wasn't, where the Cato joiners weren't together. Anyway, I took all that off. I resoldered a couple of joints that were done very poorly. I should have known better. I got all the kinks out of it, got all the got all the unevenness out of the joints out of it, and put it back up there, connected it all, and looked at it all with the mirror, and I haven't had any trouble since. That being said, another thing you'll notice here is I had that plastic up here to keep the train from falling off. Well, the plastic is gone. And I'll tell you why. Because 99.9% of the time, the work is, that I know the work is good there because the trains run properly. I have a camera, and by the way, talking about the camera, you can see the camera cords right over there in the corner. I took that camera and swung it from looking to the right. I swung it around and made it look to the left down this lead here. So I can see a train coming up and I can see a train going down. Not real well, I need some lighting under there, but the fact remains the plastic is gone. And the plastic is gone because I can't tell where the train is. So I want to be able to look under here and see where the train is if I don't hear it for some time. Anyway, let me get up. Oh, Lordy. And I'll tell you why I'm so stiff today. That being said, all that track under there is fixed. I can now see it. Another thing that I have done is I lifted this track up and put re-railers in here, 4 re-railers. And the reason I put them in here is just because that way I can re-rail. This is a big opening here, and it's right where the control center is. So I can rail cars there if I want to make a train up down here, or if I want to take a train apart or put different cars in or whatever. I have the re-railers there. So that's been done. As you can see, I do not have the wires down through yet. I plan on doing that relatively soon because I think I'm going to attach both ends of each one of those 2 sidings to a push button or maybe a momentary switch, and I may mount them right here in this board for the inner and outer tracks just so that I can pass trains. And the reason for that being is, if you look up here on top, you can see that train there with the 2 GP30s on it. I had that train going one way, and I had the GP20s going the other way just to see if I could get them around and pull off a pass here. And honestly, if both trains are going about the same speed, approximately the same speed, the GP30s got down here to the bottom about the same time the GP20s were, which meant that I could pull one off on one of the sidings here, whichever one arrived first, and I could let the other one go by and then pull it out, pull the one that I put in the siding out and make it go. I just wanted to see if I could pull off a pass here, and I certainly was able to. I'm going to turn the camera off here for a second. I'm going to start those GP20s. Okay, the GP20s are going. I have remounted this tortoise right here, which works my hill hold device. And I have my tubing down for the hill hold right here. Well, shoot, I can't keep you in the frame. I have the tubing sticking down here, but the tubing doesn't make it to the tortoise machine. So, consequently, I have another tubing and another rod. So it's just a matter of moving the train here, getting a new piece of tubing down there, attaching it to the tortoise, and putting a new piece of rod in there, cutting it off to the appropriate length, and I will be good to go with that. Once I get that hooked up, I need to get all that, and that wire's all ready to be tied back up. I know it looks like a tangled bunch of mess, but I've really cleaned a lot of things up under there that you can't see. I still have not decided what to do with the back in here. I do have a piece of foam core, and everybody says, oh, foam core bends easy. Well, it bends easy, but I think it looks like crap when you bend it the wrong direction. When you bend it inward, it gets all kinds of creases in it. I don't know if I like it or not. I may wind up using it. I'll use something. But we're going to worry about that last. That's the least of my worries. Getting all the track working is the big deal. Now I'm going to show you what the new plan is. Okay, someone had asked me early on in this adventure of putting the lower level in if I had a way to bypass the lower level. I did not. But now I have an idea. So let me show you what that is. Okay, when our 20s get by here, I'll show you what I have in mind. They're starting their journey downhill. And I'll show you them when they get down to the bottom and coming up to the top. I mean, it's kind of boring, but they do make it now without any problem. Okay, back to this little area right here. You see that bridge there in the middle? That's the only straight piece of track this guy has in this area. So what I am going to do is the first thing I'm going to do is change hands. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that bridge out of there. I am going to modify the bridge, the base of the bridge, and I am going to curve this outer part of the bridge. I know it's not prototypical probably, but it's what I got to do. And that turnout is going to go on that bridge. That turnout will take me off here to the right. I can go right along the edge up above this right here, this track that goes downhill, on pretty much on the level until I get over here, and let me show you where I'm going to be over there. Okay, and then over here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put that turnout right there. We're going to modify this piece of track right here. If we have to, we'll put some plastic or something under it. But this right here will likely go into a tunnel portal. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work and where the tunnel portal is going to go or how this scenery will take place. It may, I don't know. I just don't know yet. But this will give me a connection to take that track right along the side of that track, going down and connecting to the bridge. That will allow me to totally bypass going under the layout should I have a problem. So, I don't know when I'm going to start working on that. I really have a hankering to take that bridge out right now and start modifying it. It won't take very much to get it to the condition that I want it to be in. And when you stand down here on the floor, you won't see much of that curve, that widening of the right hand end of the bridge, and you won't hardly see it at all. But anyway, that's the plan. Connecting that bridge with the double crossover over here, which is exactly the way it was working before. So that's the plan right now. Of course, I will let you guys know when I have that re-implemented. Let me get this turnout out of here. And let's go over here. I don't know where my train is right now. I think it may be in the loop, because I don't see it on, there it comes. There it comes out of the loop. So you can see that it made it down just fine. It's going through. And at this point, if I had something else coming, I could, the other direction, I could bring it onto the siding, or I could have taken this one onto the siding and let the other one pass. And now it's going to go into the curve at the end over there, as you guys have already seen. And we will go down here and look at the camera. Here is the camera. You can see that the train has gone around the curve and is headed uphill along the back wall. And it's changing to the other view, which I don't have enough light just beyond the camera here. It's getting obliterated by the foam. It's getting too much feedback from the foam. I'm going to put a light just beyond that opening. I can, if you know, when you've looked at this a dozen times, I can still see the caboose going up the, I know you guys probably can't, but I can still see the caboose going up the left-hand track there. Now when we come back, it's approaching, you can see the headlight. Let me manual, and here, let me go back manual. Here comes our train around the curve I had that was bad. And let me go back, and you can see that I can see it making that curve. Once it makes that curve, it's coming up right over there. And that is, as I've said before, that's the steepest part of the layout right there. I have had the cars, the second time I had a problem with that train underneath, the cars came loose and all they did was roll all the way down the hill back into the yard. So I'm making headway. I still have a little bit of a hump. You can see the hump right there. The locomotives are approaching it right now. And I'm going to take that hump out of there. I'm going to heat that up with a heat gun and push that down, level it out a little bit. But there's a little tweaking here and there, but I do have it to where I can run trains up and down in both directions without any kind of derailment issues. So, by the way, I think you see that I got my throttle pockets back up here. I think I'm pretty good to go. Got all these switches back in. I think I had them in before. Got the pocket up there. Anyway, enough of that. I don't think there's anything else in here to show you at the moment. So there again, I'm going to go back out and show you why I'm in such pain today. Okay, here's why I'm in so much pain today. Lisa got some modifications done to her yesterday. Two modifications that I thought would be very, very easy to do that turned out to just be a nightmare to try and do laying on the driveway. One of them is, if you're not familiar with these Ford rear ends in these, they have an upper control arm that's right in the center of the car, attaches to the top of the differential, and then attaches to the floor of the car. There's a big bolt you take off on the inside. You have to take the bottom of the back seat out, and then you take that big bolt out. That's not any problem at all, but getting the bolts out that go to that thing, ooh, they were kind of a pain. I thought that was the worst of the job. I bought an aluminum one-piece drive shaft for her. Thought that would be a real easy job. Taking the old two-piece one out was really a piece of cake, and I thought putting the new one in was going to be also. Turns out it was not, simply because it has Dana joints on it, on the ends, and the Dana joints are about a third bigger than the joints that were on the original two-piece drive shaft. That made for tightening the bolts on that a real pain in the neck, being as you had to tighten them one at a time, and on one end there's 6 and on the other end there's 4. And every time you did that, you had to crawl out from under the car, put the car in gear to hold it in place. Then you had to take it out of gear, roll the drive shaft forward until you got to the next bolt, get out, put it back in gear, and so forth, for every one of the bolts on there. I finally did get Robin to come out and give me a hand taking it in and out of gear, which made it a lot easier. However, this was after I had spent most of the afternoon trying to screw with that. The bolts were just a pain in the neck to get to, and getting out in and out from underneath the car. I have a pretty bad road rash on my left-hand shoulder. I had overalls on, but through the overalls it kind of barked up my shoulder a little bit. My shoulder's stiff, my legs are stiff, my back is stiff. You know, it's as most of you guys know, it's not easy getting older. But it was quite exhausting yesterday. But now, why would I put a one-piece drive shaft aluminum in place of the two-piece steel drive shaft that was in there? Because what happens on these things is the carrier bearing starts going bad. Not necessarily bad, but it just gets loose. And then the joints get loose. Everything gets loose, and it creates a lot of slop in the drivetrain. So at low speeds, you get this clunking forward and backward all the time. The aluminum drive shaft was money well spent, because it took virtually all of that out of the drive line. So it runs very smooth all the way down, even when you're idling along. Another thing is, it only weighs 1/2 of what the steel drive shaft did, even though it's larger in diameter and bigger yokes and everything. And it will stand 1,200 pounds of torque. So running it hard shouldn't be an issue. But anyways, less rotating mass equates to more horsepower. I noticed it right away when I got in the car. Much smoother, much faster acceleration. Anyway, that's why I'm hurting today. It was not an easy job. But they're in there, and all of the suspension has now been modified. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching today. Hope you enjoyed 120. Just another short update to let you know what's going on. And as usual, thanks for watching.